I'm gonna record to cloud. So what we're gonna do is there's probably gonna be a few more that join, but what we'll do is we'll get started with who we are and a fun fact. So this is super easy, like 30 seconds, who you are, what's going on, something fun about you. Dylan, if you want to go first, I know you're driving, but if you can pull it off, if you could pull off the incredible.
Yeah, multitasking. We'll see. Um, yeah, my name's Dylan. I live in West Palm Beach, Florida now. I met Jordan at college, University of Tampa. Um, I broker energy commodities, so I connect buyers and sellers of different fuel products and help them trade it a little. Um, Fun fact, I got certified as a scuba diver when I was like 12, and my older brother was like 14, and we're going away together next week to Costa Rica. We're going diving a couple of times. It'll be like my 35th dive, but it'll be his like 2000th dive because now he's a commercial diver and that's what he does. And I just dive with him randomly when we go on vacation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Jacoby, what about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. My name
Who
is
are
Jacoby. I'm from Detroit. I'm a student. A fun fact about me, I recently left my job.
really?
Say
What
again?
happened? I didn't know that.
No, it happened like last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. And then you were also a vet, right?
Say again?
Like you did the military as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'm just saying because I know Sean did that as well. How
Ah,
was that leaving the job?
cathartic, but overall, you know, it wasn't a good environment to be in, and it served its purpose. And my job got threatened, like to my face when I did nothing wrong.
Yeah,
And a lot of nepotism with the project manager who is related to the CEO of the company.
I
And
gotcha.
she had already fired like two, three people while they were at home anyway prior to that. So she was just trying to bait me into, I don't know. But I said, hey, you're not going to talk to me that way. And I'm not going to be threatened at work for the third time.
Absolutely. I
So
hear
I
that.
handed her my shit and I walked out. And she wanted to say more, but I just kind of cut her off and said, hey, anything else you say, you're saying to a random person that you do not employ anymore. So I will cuss your ass out.
Good for you, Jacoby. Robbie J, how are you? What's going on with you? Who are you? Fun fact.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, so my name's Rob. Currently a CPA. I'm working in audit at one of the big four. Been there about 5 years. And fun fact is, so last summer, at the end of the summer, I actually took a sailing lesson in Cape Cod because I used to sail growing up a little bit. And this next summer, I have entered a sailing race that I'm gonna, just try and test out. So some a little different, a little out there, but yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. Brendan, what about you? Who are you and what's a fun fact?
Yeah, name's Brent Zolli. Went to college with you, of course. That's how we know each other. But currently do IT recruiting. I'm in a government sector, so work with a lot of DoD contracted companies and help out a lot of veterans and stuff get careers and stuff going there. And fun fact, actually worked as a librarian at one point when I was in the Army, recovering from some injuries. So never thought I'd be a librarian and can barely read, but there it was. So.
Funny. I like it. Very cool. Taylor, what about you?
Yeah, my name is Taylor. I live here in St. Pete, Florida. I work full time as an electrical engineer, designing power lines, but I also have a health and wellness business. I also have an international trade and logistics company that I'm working on part time right now, looking to turn that into a full time income this year. Fun fact about me: I was born and raised in Ohio on a 100-acre farm. Born and raised catching crawdads out of the creek and baling hay in the summertime, and now I live here in Florida and love playing pickleball.
It's awesome. I love it. 100 acres. Wow. It's like the dream that everyone wants. Get out of the big city. Chase, what about you?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Chase. I'm out here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Run a landscape company, lawn care. Just me and one guy right now. Um, Fun fact: I lived up in New York for a year. A year. My now wife dragged me up there when we first started dating. That's where I started. Worked for a good landscape company and fell in love with it. So that's how I started in.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Shawn, what about you? What's a fun fact? We'll get into you a little bit more on who you are, and I think everyone knows, but what's a fun fact you got?
Fun fact, I just got back from going out to LA for the first time.
How was LA with the fires?
It was not nearly as bad as the news would say, have you believe, but I'm not saying bad things didn't happen, but when I got there and when I left, it was very different from what you would see on the news, but still pretty bad in places.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now we'll dive into a quick win. And then if you were on previously, we'll just do accountability. So, Shawn, what's a win you got? It can be anything and everything. A win also qualifies as literally just getting on this call. It could be whatever you guys want it to be.
But when was I originally when I went out to LA, I went out there for an event. It got canceled obviously because of the fires, but ended up being able to just network out there and got landed on a pretty podcast. The host has like 6.1 million followers. She was in the
Wow.
WWE and all that stuff. So what a trip that I thought was not going to be good ended up turning out pretty damn good.
Hell yeah, I love that. Chase, what about you? What's a win you got?
Win. I think win for the week.
And then your accountability,
Um,
Chase, was empower Cameron and knock on the doors.
Yeah, so I started training. Well, we finished a real big job last week. We did 3 days on this. Well, not 3 full days, but it did over the course of 3 days. Got done with this big landscape job. Finished it up. I mean, that was probably the biggest win of the week.
Absolutely.
Started training Cam Thursday, Friday. I had him mowing, edging. I didn't knock on doors, but I did go and check out a couple other estimates and stuff, and um, yeah, which was nice. I mean, hopefully got another bigger landscape job here coming up as well. So it's getting to that time of year, start playing them out. But optimistic about Cam.
So you were able to, because you had Cam, he was cutting the lawns while you were going and checking out the other properties.
Yeah, so I did like two estimates. I went off and did two separate times, kind
Oh
of give him
yeah,
some easier properties he could do. So
absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome. Taylor, what about you? What's a win you got?
Win this week. Went to that first Young Entrepreneurs of America event on Thursday, which is where I met you. So that was a win in itself.
Oh,
But I
love
also
that.
host meetup events here locally in St. Pete called Life in the 727. That's the name of our group. But we had an awesome vision board event yesterday. I don't know if you guys are into that stuff, but I love doing vision boards. Haven't done one in a few years. So we had a group of about 15, 20 people got together and I made a vision board for the upcoming year. So really fun event, good energy, and met some cool people.
That's awesome. Very cool. Brendan, what about you? What's a win you got?
Yeah, last week got one of my certifications I was trying to get this year, certified Scrum Master. So basically somebody that kind of like orchestrates amongst like developers and product owner and basically just IT teams to see what they need done. So like basically kind of like a mini management certification essentially. So glad I knocked that one out and going for a couple more later this year. So
That's awesome. Rob, what about you? What's the win you got?
So I guess nothing work related, but I did yesterday hit a PR in the gym on the bench. So
What did you get?
started benching a lot again. I got 265 for 9 reps.
Holy
I'm not doing
shit.
maxes, but I started trying to do reps for a PR and started eating a lot this last month, the holidays, and it paid off. So it's cool.
That's awesome. Jacoby, what about you? What's the win you got?
So I actually have a few wins outside of the obvious cussing my boss out. I, as of like maybe a day and a half ago, I've lost 40 pounds.
No way.
Yeah, I just checked because I told
Holy
myself
shit.
I'm not gonna look at the scale until I feel like I've actually made a difference. Another win. This is my last semester before I'm like done with my undergraduate degree. And yeah, I have a job interview tomorrow. Well, two job interviews technically, but one's a test for Customs and Border Protection. Another is for a bank that pays literally twice what I was making less than a week ago. So
We love doubling the salary. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
well, yeah.
Not a bad play. Not a bad play. Dylan, what about you? What's a win you got? And yours was get back into routine for mornings, 3 mornings, after work hitting balls, Costa Rica 2 weeks, firmly book the activities.
Yeah, a win. It felt like a really good week of work, kind of getting in the swing of putting on new trades for clients this year. Like, had long days of office. I brought that
The new kid
junior
in.
onto our desk like 2 weeks ago. So I've been like training him as well, and like just long days, but they've been good, and it's going really well so far. And yeah, all good on the accountability stuff. I worked out a couple of mornings, but I've been up early doing cold showers each morning and like really ready and awake before getting into work. It's nice. And yeah, I booked all that stuff for Costa. I got sport fishing, diving, a hike, some golf, and a whole lot
Oh,
of
I love it.
surfing. So it's gonna be a fun week.
Adventurous week. Sounds fun. Very cool. Griff, how are you doing?
Hey,
We're
how's
gonna
it
do it
going?
all. We're gonna do it all in one, dude. Who are you? What's a fun fact? And then we'll do a win and your accountability.
All right. Griffin Shaw, from Massachusetts, now residing in St. Petersburg. I just moved here about 6 months ago. I'm in healthcare pharmacy tech sales for a subsidiary of McKesson, which is a Plymouth company. And fun fact about me, I have a twin sister.
Very cool. Very
Did I
cool.
miss anything? Oh, the
And then
win.
we're gonna and then what's a win you have? And then yours was your accountability was create a calendar for 2025, doing this month, fine print, family trip, opportunities to walk through that.
Yeah, so that wouldn't really be a win, but in terms of accountability, I did do most of that. I did get some flights booked. I would say that's not a task that's going to be done in just a week though. That's going to be something that carries on throughout January and probably February, kind of just ironing out the rest of the
Absolutely, yeah.
year. Yeah. But I got like the baseline of everything and all my like flights in the next like 4 to 5 months like booked. So there's a win.
Nice.
So accountability wise, doing good there. I think for the win, I didn't have much go on. Trying to think of one that's good.
Can be
Oh,
anything.
I went golfing on Sunday.
How was that? Can you beat
Oh
Dylan
man,
yet?
I don't know if you want to call it good or not. It's been it's been about 2 or 3 years since I've actually like golfed, so it's pretty bad, but
Awesome.
it felt good. It felt good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Let's hop into it. And we're still on time. Fantastic. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick intro to Shawn, and then I'm going to bring up a topic to him. He's going to speak for like 3 or 5 minutes, and then you guys will all listen. And then basically, you'll give your feedback and your perspective. And then if you have a question for him, you can totally do that. I have like 2 or 3 questions to kind of give out. But if you guys have questions from what he said, you can definitely add that in. And then to close it out, we're going to do the greatest benefit of this conversation, action step, and gratitude. So for you, we have the guest, which is why we're all here and why we're excited. We got Shawn Livingston. He's a combat veteran. He's a decorated ultra marathon runner, a person who's overcome drug addiction and mental health advocate. In his documentary, 100 Miles to Redemption, he's inspired millions of families and provided hope through his own personal accounts with addiction, recovery, and healing power of fitness. So, Shawn, for you, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. We're all really excited about that. For you, how do you change your identity? You went from someone who was struggling with drugs, in and out of rehab 12 times, to someone who runs a 100-mile race. That's insane. Like most people can't run a 100-mile race if they're a regular person, let alone someone who did stuff poorly to their body as well. So, Shawn, how do you view that?
I mean, number one, I think just kind of in my case, hitting rock bottom. The only ways to go is up. But discovering a passion is the biggest thing. To go through every day for as long as I did and never really having a purpose or anything like that. When you discover true purpose, I mean, it's life changing. A lot of the people that I work with today, when I go out and speak, I like using the analogy of asking them to kind of identify their Super Bowl. What's the absolute most important thing in the entire world to you? Once you're able to identify that, then I know what direction I'm headed. And so anything that's not helping me work towards that goal, I don't have time for it. I won't allow it to be around me. And so usually in most cases, if I'm working towards this goal, the most important thing, if I'm trying to get to my Super Bowl, are the people that I choose to surround myself with. And so for a long time, I used to consider myself a leader. All I know is every time I hung around people that did dope, I did dope. And so I don't know what type of leader I was. And so, through starting to kind of identify the man that I wanted to be, I started walking in rooms, and you see that, and those are the people I choose to start surrounding myself with. And so, hey, if I want to be a millionaire, I'm going to go hang out with millionaires. I'm not going to keep hanging with the knuckleheads on the block. My MO, my entire life was always to hang around the funny guys. I want to hang around the funny guys. We're going to talk a little smack, pass time. It didn't matter if I was back in the military, if I was at regular work, school, on a team, locked up. That's what I did. But eventually I had to realize that did not serve me anymore. And so now it's about finding the right people that are working in towards the same direction. And when I say that, like, it's very black and white. I hold myself to a standard now. I have so many things that I'm blessed to have in my life that I didn't think were a possibility, whether that's owning my own home, buying my wife a car, having a wife, even owning a dog. Those are things I didn't think were ever a possibility. And so to me, those are things I'm not willing to sacrifice. And so if there's anybody in my life at any point that is not, continuing to be held to the same standard that I hold myself to, I'm sorry, they get cut out, because that's just how important it is to me when you discover a passion and a purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's so many of us, and that's kind of why we're on this call today, to be around better people, because it can be so challenging, especially when you're in the same area for so long. So, Dylan, for you, what did you take away from what Shawn just said? Or what, any comments? And if you guys want to ask questions after you
Yeah.
give a comment, you totally can.
Yeah, man. I mean, Shawn, I have a ton of respect for your story. I'm looking forward to watching the documentary. I spent like 10 minutes before this call scrolling through your Instagram videos and getting caught up a bit. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more about, one, identifying the purpose, and two, who you surround yourself with. Like, I mean, I'm kind of in it. I live in South Florida. I'm in Palm Beach area, and like it's a busy, party scene and whatnot. And I travel a lot for work, entertaining clients, going out drinking. Like that's, through work you get caught into it. But some of the stuff I got to do. I got to make the trips, see the people, and kind of at that age where it's in there. But then I would get home, and a lot of times my work trips and my personal trips would blend into just going out all the time when I'm home too. Because you just kind of, when you're doing that, you're just kind of stuck doing, whatever it might be. But like last year, I was like, you know what, like I like working out, I like getting out. Like I signed up for a triathlon for the first time, and like I thought it was like a step for me. But then I met people, at the bike shop, and they're like, yeah, we do these run groups and bike groups, and we also, I'm like, oh, like it's normal to work out every day before work in the morning, and then do that. And like then when I would go out with my friends, so grab drinks or do whatever, like I would enjoy it, but it didn't, like, it was stuff that like it's not far off, but like once you are surrounded with people doing more extreme things than you in a positive way, you're like, oh, like this is actually pretty normal. So
Yep.
I think that's definitely huge, and something to analyze, because you could spend years just going with the flow of the people that you hang out with and not even thinking twice about it.
Yeah. I want to change my fun fact. Since you're from South Florida, that's actually where I discovered heroin. So I get it.
Yeah, you could discover anything you want all over here at all times. Yeah.
I moved to South Florida an Oxycontin addict, and the day after I got there, became a heroin addict. So I know
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. Dylan, do you have any questions? Or you can pass right now, because there's a
Well,
good amount of people.
kind of just, I mean, a quick, easy one is like once you started getting into, I guess, like, I mean, you're in the military, you're in fitness. Once you dove back into it, when you went from like your first race or competition, what was the timeline to signing up for and then training and doing your first 100-mile?
So mine, man, I got very lucky in a couple different areas. Number one, I fell in with the right people. Number two, I was an addict, and so I'm pretty good at locking on to one thing and just doing it over and over. And so there was a woman that saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And so, I was never a runner growing up. If I was running without a basketball or a football in my hand, I was in trouble for something. And so I started showing up to these run groups. I ended up meeting this woman. I hear she runs trail races, ultra marathons. And so I started asking her if she'll train me. And so she does and takes me out. I run my first 10K race. I was over the moon. I thought it was the biggest thing ever. And she just kind of looked at me and shrugged her shoulders and was like, you could do more. And so then the next thing I know, I'm running a 30K, and then my next race is a 50K, and she did it again. And so within my first year, I ran 100K, and then about 4 months later, I ran the 100 miler.
Sick. Okay. Yeah, that's
So
impressive.
16 months. 16 months to 100 miles. That's insane. Brendan, what are you taking from this?
Yeah, so the Super Bowl thing, I love that analogy. I don't think I have my own Super Bowl, but definitely like the folks you surround yourself with. Like this past year, want to get a couple other certifications in IT. And I mean, like I said, I'm not an IT person. I mean, I can barely make a PowerPoint, so I'm not any somewhat sort of qualified to be in IT myself, but it's a big like educational year for me. So I haven't drank since like February of last year, so just like stopped going out, and just wanted to just like focus on the studies. And of course, like you're working Monday through Friday, 50, 60 hours a week, like just like the mentality to like go out on a Friday just like is no longer there. So just to be able to like focus on like the folks I want to spend my time with, 'cause it's my time, you know, selfishly the most precious thing out there is like, all right, when I'm not working and studying, like who are the folks that I want to spend my time with? So definitely was able to find, you know, set group of, you know, folks and stuff this year that, you know, I previously hung out with in the past, but again, it's just not going out for the hell of it or, you know, run into 60 acquaintances at a bar. It's like, I'd rather hang out with quality people. I mean, that was cool in college. Like I definitely, you know, miss that from time to time, but again, just like taking a break from that and, you know, doing some, volunteer work and stuff like that this year off the hurricane and whatnot. It was definitely a big like reflection year. So, definitely thought that was, you know, kind of correlating to, you know, who you're surrounding yourself with. And then I guess one of my questions would be, so I'm actually trying to get into running myself. I mean, I played sports growing up, had a run for the Army, but was never a fan of it. But I'm trying to, you know, get up to a marathon this year. But as far as like recovering from your runs, like what are some, you know, practices that you do? I got the whole ice bath and all that, but anything to help out a broken soldier here would be appreciated. So.
I mean, nutrition's huge. Nutrition's really big. Water, shoes are tremendously important. Making sure you got the right shoes. Contrary to belief, I didn't realize when I got in the running world, Nikes aren't great running shoes, and so really going to get good shoes. Man, dude, sauna, cold plunge, I do it all the time. You know what I mean? I really enjoy it, stuff like that. And then, I don't want to tell you to stretch because I'll be quite honest, I never stretched. It was never my thing. I'm great at beating myself up, but I was never really great at taking care of myself. So, stuff like that. But really, it's just like the meat and potato stuff that people say all the time. There's nothing quite exotic. I mean, unless you want to start diving into the world of peptides and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, just the meat and potato stuff, being able to do that stuff day in and day out is the things that's going to really matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, run trails. Don't run road. If you're feeling broken, you got bad knees, ankles, feet, or whatever. Trails much easier on your body. You know, and you actually build a lot more strength in your ankles because it's uneven ground. Just if you ever fall, make sure you always fall uphill.
Absolutely. And Brendan, I didn't even know you were trying to run a marathon. I ran two of them. I ran one in Lake Tahoe and then New York City. I ran in 2021. And the biggest thing for me was just, dude, honestly, putting it on the calendar. Like you book a marathon and you're like, shit, I'm up. Like, because then you start training and like whatever that is, like you just get into that regimen. And I found one, I looked online, it was super easy. It was like two short runs and then a long run. And like you'd start off with like 5 miles, 4 miles. And then you build your way up to like 20 miles. And then, dude, race day comes in 3 months, 4 months, and you're ready to go. But it's just really that concept of like you start winning the mornings. And I remember some days I literally ran 20 miles before 7 a.m. and people are like, "You ran what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. It's part of the training regimen."
Yeah,
Which
that's
helped
good to
me a
know.
lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like wasn't, you know, not on the gram to post like the medal and the finish line picture and all that. It was just kind of like a mental bucket list thing of like, all right, like a lot of people run marathons, a lot of people do this or do that. So it's all right, let me cross that off the list because I owe it to myself. So, but yeah, definitely appreciate that. And then appreciate the trail tip there too.
Absolutely.
Brandon, where are you located at?
Tampa.
Is there a lot of run groups there?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Dude, join a run group. That would be my biggest tip on like if you're getting into running marathons is running with people. It makes
Yeah.
so much easier. You're not as focused on. You can get a little bit competitive with it. It'll
Yeah.
like
Okay, cool. And then do you listen to like podcasts or any music or anything like that, or
never.
like to just get in the zone?
I joke around with people and tell them my headphones are for the week. I'm a I'm a big believer in, bro. You need to embrace the suck, like especially when you're out on. Uh, I was always a trail runner, and so trail running, you don't want to have headphones on just in case somebody falls. You want to be able to hear what's going on. Road running,
Yeah.
or just kind of zone out and do that. But I've watched a lot of people use headphones, and when the headphones die, they fall apart. And so, me personally, I just want to kind of be inside my head, inside my body, focused on things rather than trying to escape what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I
makes
love that.
sense.
I love that. I'm soft. I was wearing headphones. But also you gotta equate like you can go a marathon with AirPods. You can't go 100 miles with AirPods because they're gonna die. The other thing with it is I would listen to podcasts because they were longer form. When you listen to music, it's very jolts of energy and you feel like you just run out of energy really quick because it brings you down. Rob or Sean, have you got something else you can add? Totally.
No, go.
Rob, what about you?
Yeah, so I guess takeaway from me got me thinking, especially about the part about who you spend your time with. Of course, everyone said that before, but it does mean a lot. Now, for my case, I'm going to be working with the same people like all day and night for the next 2 months because I'm in busy season for accounting. That's, when majority of the work's done before they file the 10K. So I figured, given I have a pretty good like way of getting through it without too much stress, I figured this year I'd try and create some positive energy for my team and like tell them to do certain things that helps me, like going on walks throughout the day. I go on like 3 to 4 walks every day. Some people don't usually do, but I think it does go a long way for, mental clarity and all that stuff. So,
Absolutely.
obviously everyone I work with isn't, exactly like me or as, motivated as, everyone on this call, stuff like that. So, I'm working with people that, are lazy in their own way. So hopefully I can hopefully fix that a little bit. Because I'm not going to be with anybody else really. So except on Sunday. And then I guess a question for Sean, I guess why 100 miles? Like I figured a marathon's already long enough. Like instead of going for a marathon for time, like you just like doing things to the extreme and you just felt like you need to do more and more, or what kind of got you on the 100 mile train?
It's funny. I kind of got bored with road running pretty quick. It's just very different cultures in the road running and the trail running world, and so I fell in with some trail runners, got out there and that, and it's way different when your mind's engaged on the trail. You're out in nature. You're away from your phones, people, Wi-Fi, all that kind of stuff. And I don't this extreme aspect. It was kind of attractive. I'll be honest. There was a big part of me that got a kick out of the fact I was racing against a lot of people that had been doing this their whole lives, and I had been doing it for a very short amount of time. I started winning races. I won a marathon. I started placing pretty consistently, and so I got a big kick out of like, man, like you guys have been doing this your whole life. Like I just started this, and so there's a definite competitive aspect to it, and then every race I did, I would do this long distance and I'd get done and I'd be like, man, there's no reason to ever run that far again. I'm good. And then you wake up the next day and for whatever reason, I'm like, what's the next one up? Like I could do it. And then you're right back in it before you know it. And then you're back out on the trail mid race. Like, why do I do this? Like it's a very lovely relationship, man. But when you get done, it's like, once you accomplish something like that, everyday problems you come up against they're just nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. The funny thing was Rob was telling me that he makes it, he downplays it. Like he's like, yeah, I walk 3 or 4 times a day. This guy averages like 15,000 steps a day on the health app, like not even running or anything. And I'm like, like over years too. Like he was showing me all his stats, and I'm like, how the fuck do you do this?
Yeah, I think for someone that has an office job, I'm definitely on the upper end of the spectrum. But it's just at this point. I mean, I live in New York City too, so that does help. Walking is a mode of transportation for me beyond just doing it for fun. But yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's done a lot for me for sure. And now it's
uh,
just like I don't even think about it.
absolutely. Taylor, what about you? What are you taking from this?
Yeah, Sean, I feel like you definitely described my your story. Really described my whole reason for moving away from my small town in Ohio. Because again, dude, it's just going back to the environment, and for me, it was absolutely unproductive. Doing the same thing every week, going to the bars, getting drunk, and sometimes doing it 2, 3 times a week, and just getting in that cycle, of going to work and going to the bars on the weekend, and it was just like really, really bad for me. No, none of my friends were into business. None of them were into reading books. None of them were into personal development, and that was all stuff that I was into. So, had a buddy who was in business here in Tampa, and moved down here to get closer to him, and just found this huge, vibrant community of Tampa Bay and young entrepreneurs and hustlers, and people really just like me. And it really inspired me to live a bigger life myself. But yeah, so I really connect with your story, dude, because when you're hanging out with bad people doing bad things, you're gonna be the sixth person doing that stuff, So my question to you though was, what was that kind of moment for you, Sean, where you're like, all right, this is enough. Enough is enough. The rehab, the jail, the whatever, the drugs. What was that instant decision for you? Is like, okay, I need to turn my life around.
Um, Good question. And I am also from Ohio, bro. So I'm from Youngstown.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's about I would say hour and a half. I was about an hour and a half south of there. So
Okay. So yeah, I get that. And bro, that is the best profile picture I've ever seen. That's a hit album cover if I've ever seen one.
thank you.
Um, but man, to be honest, hitting rock bottom is the number one thing for me. When dude, I was raised with a good family. My mother has her PhD. My stepfather was a steel worker. We were a blue collar family, but I had a very good upbringing. When I landed myself in prison, and at one point my mother stopped picking up the phone. She wouldn't take my collect calls anymore because she couldn't sit there and watch me continue to contribute to my own demise, basically. And so she stopped picking up the phone. That was the moment where I was like, all right, mom's not picking up the phone. I got to change some things. And then throughout the course of my journey, I was about to go back to prison. I was about to get sent back and was facing a whole lot of time. And it was kind of a foregone conclusion. I was going to go away. I got my third and fourth felony charge for heroin. They were going to charge me as habitual criminal. So I stood in front of a judge. He said he didn't see any reason to sentence me to under 20 years. And so I thought I was going away, and I ended up going to treatment just so I could try to get back on speaking terms with my family and be able to, hopefully not withdraw when I go away. And so he ended up, I do all this time and get to, I do 8 months basically inpatient, and I kept this folder, all the work I had been doing. I am not a tremendously organized person. I have no idea why I kept this folder, but every note I took, test I took, everything. And then when we presented it to the judge or the lawyer, he kind of opened it up, and he was blown away by it, said it wasn't something he usually ever saw. So he went back, talked to the judge, and he came back to me and was like, man, whatever you're doing, I need you to keep doing it. You have a really, really good opportunity at probation right now. So that was like the other number two moment where it was like, I finally found this ray of hope, and I was going to cling on to it at all costs.
Fantastic. That's awesome, man. Happy for you.
Thank you. Really long-winded. I apologize.
That's all right.
No, that was good. I was getting chills at the end. I was like, damn. Because you could feel like, dude, being sentenced to 20 years, you're like, my life is going to look completely different if I don't make a change immediately. And a lot of us never get to that moment. So it's like, for you to actually be in that moment, you're like, shit, I got to make a change here. I only got one life. Let's make the most of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Jacoby, what about you? What are you taking from this?
So, like, I'm taking a lot from it, but like, as a veteran, I just wanted to know, like, what flipped your switch?
And
If
what,
you get that question.
like, what turned me into an addict?
No. That, I mean, that turned you away from addiction. That's what I should have elaborated more. What turned you away from addiction?
Just discovering a passion. When I discovered the running thing, it did for me more than I ever thought possible. And so, at first I was trying to get help, and I get diagnosed PTSD, depression, anxiety disorder, panic disorder, all these different things. And so I'm an addict. I throw all my eggs in one basket, and so I try to throw them into the mental health basket. Take all the medications they put me on, go to therapy, do all that. But at the end of the day, it wasn't didn't keep me happy, didn't keep me sober. And so then, I kind of went the 12-step route, completely submerged myself in that. But again, I kind of took a look around and was like, I have to do this forever. My outlook on it wasn't quite hopeful. And so I never thought a physical aspect could ever contribute to these other things, but I discovered the running. It became a passion. It lit a fire up under my ass and gave me something I was excited to go get up out of bed every morning, made me excited to be alive, excited to be sober. I discovered this amazing community of people. And so for the first time when I left treatment, like I was ready, I was excited about life, and I just discovered something that was far more valuable to me than any high could be.
No, I feel that completely. And is it
Absolutely.
something that like holds your purpose, like beyond the I'm trying to like collect my words here.
Yeah, I can
Give me a
chime in.
sec.
Yeah, I can chime in really quick because Jaco, and I just kind of want everyone to realize this, that when you look at Shawn and you're like, what made him drop the addiction? He never dropped the addiction. He still has an addictive personality. He just put it towards running.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's this idea of like you're still chasing a feeling because like when you do drugs, you chase a feeling. When you go to the bar, you chase a feeling. So we're always chasing feelings, but if we can chase a feeling in a positive regard, where it's like I went in the sauna, I went in the cold plunge, I feel great. I went on a run, I feel great. It's just switching out the negatives for the positives
And,
is what I
and
say.
in a manner, yeah, like that's what helped me channel it. I had all this energy I used to put into the hustle, getting high every day. When I got sober, I still had all that energy, and so luckily I discovered a channel to put it through, and it ended up being a healthy way, which was life changing. But I also needed to discover healthy balance, because if I get injured running, then what? Then it's my recourse is just to go back to what I was doing. But like a second fold to your question and what you were asking earlier, like discovering that passion was big, but then also like what flipped my switch was being able to understand. I did not understand before a world existed where I could ever take all this pain and all this stuff that I had been through and ever use it to help other people. Once I discovered that, it actually gave the pain purpose, and so that's truly what changed my life. Being able to go out and speak, being able to do my podcast, being able to work with people one-on-one or groups. That's where it's like, man, the things I was most ashamed of are now the things I'm, most proud of, to stand in front of groups of hundreds of people and talk about.
No, I felt that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chase, what about you?
Yeah. Shawn, thank you for your service. First, inspirational story. Yeah, I just related to the 100-mile runs. Is there anything? I guess you could say is there something we might not know, like or what's that last 5 miles, the 95 through 100 miles feel like? I can only fathom running 100 miles. So, as far as like, do your feet get messed up? Or are you going through some out of body experience or something? Just kind of wondering what that feels like.
This is such a good question. I'm gonna basically give you a spoiler alert to the movie. And so,
Oh, okay.
real quick. Is that what you wanted, Jordan?
Yeah, do your thing,
Uh,
man.
you're
I'm just smiling because I like the questions.
you're smiling real big. So man, the way I broke down the 100-miler, the best way I can explain it, it was very like physical, mental, spiritual. The first 50, 60 miles was all physical. Your body gets you through it. Eventually, your body starts breaking down. You start getting sore, tired. It becomes night. It gets cold. It's getting wet. Everything is getting to you. Nightfall is one of the toughest things I've ever been through. You get very lonely out there. There's not a step you're taking where you're not trying to rationalize quitting. And so then you get to this mental part where it's just your mental fortitude that's trying to get you one foot in front of the other. But once you get to the end, man, that mile 90, that's where it was a spiritual experience. It was something way stronger than me carrying me through. But it's funny. I go into this last aid station, and in an ultra marathon, there's aid stations every 3, 5, 7 miles. I go into this aid station, and it's kind of carnage at this point. There's people that have pissed themselves. There's people that have thrown up, all this and that. Nobody's really running, and everyone's just trying to trudge it in. And so I end up eating these 2 pieces of banana bread this very nice woman made. And I don't know what was in them, dude, but I absolutely came alive. And so I start running, and I come off the trail. I hit the road, and there's 7 miles to go. And so I go out there, and the camera crew's waiting on me, and they're coming along. And so you have to understand, man, like this whole race is so emotional for me. It was 18 months before that. I was literally sitting in prison. I was a heroin addict, and now I'm about to accomplish the greatest thing I didn't even know this was humanly possible. And so it's such a surreal experience. And so, I'm at this point in my life, I'm still trying to play this tough guy act, and I don't want to cry on camera. I'm not trying to get emotional. And so I come out onto the road. I start running. The camera crew's following me. My bottom lip's quivering. I'm trying to hold it together. They take off. And as I'm coming in, man, I didn't know. It's tough because I lived in Texas and my family lived in Ohio. And so I didn't know. I didn't know if they knew what I was doing. I didn't know if they were paying attention. We really weren't there yet. And so, but I just wanted them to be proud of me again. And so my grandmother actually texted me that morning and said, she's like, even at night when you get lonely or you get tired or whatever, just know that I'm following along on my iPad with you the whole way. And so as I'm coming in, I'm thinking about all this. I'm thinking about being in prison. I'm thinking about my grandma following me and everything. And so up ahead, I can see the high school football stadium. That's where the race is going to end. And so I come into the high school football stadium, all this stuff playing in my head. I hit the track, and you have to do basically a 3/4 lap around the track. And then there's the big finish. There's huge finish, hundreds of people, the air horns blowing, there's cowbells and all this. I had some friends that had came to the race with me. I could hear them yelling over all these people. And so I come on this trail. I'm trying to hold it together, knowing cameras are going to be there. And then I come on the straightaway, and I look up, and I see my mom's blonde hair and my sister standing next to her. And
Wow.
a big part of the movie is me rebuilding the relationship with my family and my sister in particular. So the fact that that was there and that happened was the absolute most surreal, spiritual, incredible experience in my life.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Me and Madison, we watched the movie together, and we're both tearing up at the end because it's just the way you described it, Sean, was incredible. Oh, like watching the visual, you're like, dude, it's waterworks, man. It's like holy shit, anything's possible, which is so incredible. Chase, you got anything else?
Yeah. No. I appreciate the story. That is incredible. It's
Thank
like
you,
a
man.
movie, man.
Absolutely, Griffin.
Yeah, man. I mean, I kind of the first thing that kind of comes up, I'd say story wise, is I had a little bit of a similar instant drug wise with Xanax during the COVID pandemic, and I was not alone during that. It was kind of like my whole fraternity, so it was an interesting moment because then you have to disassociate from the people that used to be just very good friends with. So I definitely have some comparisons with that, even though it's definitely in a much, I would say, smaller lens than some stuff that I've heard from you mentioned more or less. And the other thing I was kind of that stuck out to me though is I've had some knee injuries, and some of that info you were sharing about running on trails. Like, do you have any other tips to kind of someone that says like a bad knee overall that wears like a brace for whenever they do like physical activity, like pick up basketball or anything like that?
Yeah. Stay away from a treadmill.
Yep.
Treadmill's very bad for your knees, bad for your hips. Collagen's very good for your knees. And then, do you know what a Rosti is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
A Rosti I know has done really good for people. What part of your knee actually hurts?
So it was the ACL, MCL, LCL, like pretty much all the main ligaments have been torn. So I would say it's mostly like muscle atrophy is hitting me more today, if anything. Does that make sense? So like after a while running, like the muscles beyond gas, if that makes sense, in the right leg compared to the left.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you did rehab or anything like that, but you should look into doing some of that, and then like doing some cross training stuff of like trying to strengthen it, swimming or
Yeah.
stationary and all that. But you really need to get it to try to come up to the other one. I mean, and it's something you're gonna want to do, man, because I see so many older people that don't address stuff like that, and then it's not a good sight. You know what I mean? We get old.
Right. No, I appreciate that.
So the biggest strategy I heard from that was basically that you could fly, because I know you're in Miami or you're in St. Pete. I guess you could find a pool or something, but it would be like the
Yeah.
swimming dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, the
Are you
swimming
saying swim with
dynamic,
like one leg? Sean,
it's
what do you
mostly
think?
just the muscle atrophy in the one leg that's kind of, I'd say, carried on, and there's not like a direct part of my knee that like irritates me more than the other, if that makes sense.
Mm.
It's not like a bruise or anything like that, but yeah.
Yeah, dude, that I'd get in the gym and I'd go really slow, lightweight, slow reps, nice and controlled and stuff like that, and really start trying to strengthen it up.
Yep.
Maybe even like single leg squats too.
Yeah.
You just
Yep.
focus on that one area. Very cool. Cool. So let's get into the second question for you, Sean. What is true success to you now? Because obviously you've seen it at different points, and even when you were going through the challenges and tribulations, like what has success always been to you? Because I know we all sit here and we all have our own version of what we think success is. But like,
Mhm.
what is true success to you? Is it the money? Is it the cars? Is it the feelings? Like, what is it truly to you?
I mean, for me, it's doing what I love and getting to help people. It sounds corny, but man, I've been blessed. I was, pretty set up financially. None of that stuff ever made me happy. All the stuff I was just trying to like fill this void in me. All the stuff never did it. All the sneakers, cars, none of that stuff ever did it for me. But once I discovered this love and this passion and being able to align what I do for a living with that, I don't have that feeling ever where I wake up and it's like, oh, I got to go to work today. Like I don't have that. I get excited about what I do every day. I love it. I would do it for free. I don't want to put that out there too much, but man, I just feel lucky to get what I do or get to do what I do. And so just being able to I just turned 41 this year, but it took me a couple extra years to figure out some of these life lessons and stuff like that. But once I've aligned my life with doing something that I truly love, my mornings, my conversations, my interactions with people are much more enjoyable than going to a job that I really hate for money, just for stuff that at the end of the day is cool to have for a minute, but after I buy it a little bit later, it's just another thing.
Absolutely. And then the one other thing I want to get into is what time do you wake up at? Like, what's your morning routine look like? Because this is the most, I'm an early guy. Sean puts me to shame.
I have an emergency alarm set for 2:30 a.m. It never has gone off. I'm up at 2 a.m. usually within 5 to 10 minutes of that, give or take. Having coffee in the morning, and then usually at the gym by about 4:30. The morning time is my quiet time. That's when I'm like doing all my social media stuff, firing off emails, shooting off the text to people that I hope that their phone's on silent so they don't think I'm crazy. But that's when I enjoy getting stuff to do, getting stuff done. But there's the other side of the coin where when it comes to a lot of the nightlife, like that's just not for me anymore. And so I'm in bed by 6:30, usually knocked out by 7. And the joke around the house is like on a Friday night, we might stay up and party, and I'll drink 2 cups of coffee to make it to 9 p.m. if I'm lucky. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think this is so important because a lot of people have talked about it that if you can literally go to bed by 9 p.m., you will not have any issues. Your
yep.
whole life will change and you won't have any issues. So I think that's super important. Chase, what are you grabbing from what Sean's sharing? And we'll go around the horn again. If you guys want to ask any questions, you can totally chime in.
Hey, just pass real quick on me. Sorry.
Okay. Jacoby, what about you?
Give me I honestly I don't have any like more questions because like I can really understand how I don't know I can really understand and resonate with the mindset. So it's like it's not something that I haven't thought like what he's been verbalizing. Excuse me, what you've been verbalizing this entire time. It's like it's not like looking in a mirror exactly, but like the mindset and the mindset change that you've been going through. I think that I'm experiencing that right now myself. I'm being perfectly honest. So I don't really have any other questions per se, but it's just like I'd like to know more about your story.
You can ask that. Yeah.
No, I don't have any specific questions. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. I don't have anything
All good.
specific that I
No,
want to ask.
no worries. Griff, what about you? We're trying to do a little snake thing where everyone got an opportunity again.
I guess. Did you say you're local to South Florida, or did you say Texas? Because I was curious on some of the trails that you were mentioning earlier, since you're a big trail guy.
Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay, all right, then never mind, never mind.
You boys that run down in Florida, man, that's some different stuff. Woo. Somebody asked me to do a marathon there. I was like, no, I'm good. I'll go out to the altitude out in Colorado, but that humidity, you can keep it.
Isn't it pretty comparable? I guess. What part of Texas? You said Austin.
Austin, yeah, it's a good happy medium. If you got Arizona that's super dry, and then Florida, Louisiana that's super humid, we're right in the middle, I'd say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rob, what about you? You got anything?
I mean, not really. I guess how long ago was the movie that you produced? Was that recent, or was this like several years ago and it's just still out there and you're still doing, I guess, like, speaking and on behalf of that and everything and keep doing what you're doing there?
Movie came out. Came out right as quarantine, right, literally as it happened. And so we were supposed to travel around with all the film festivals and all that. So it went out digitally, and so it kind of held it up for a little bit until everything lifted. Then it's on its premiere, and now it's on Amazon, and do that. But the podcast is really what I do big now. I've had on UFC fighters, Olympic athletes, people in music, movies, all that, people from the recovery community, but just people who have overcome tremendous amounts of adversity and stuff like that. The movie just happens to be what everybody always brings up whenever I come on to speak or do anything.
Got it. Okay, yeah. I'll have to take a look at the podcast. Cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Taylor, what about you?
Give it a subscribe on YouTube, follow on Instagram. I promise you won't be
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Do the
nothing much
promo where
more
you
here,
can.
Sean. Nothing much more here, Sean. I just followed you on Instagram and added your documentary to my watch list on Prime. But I completely resonate with what you just said about really what success is to you, because all of that materialistic stuff is so short lived, and really what's really meaningful and valuable to me, at least, as well, is the continued learning and service piece. And I think service based businesses and providing value to people is truly what brings you fulfillment in the end.
100%.
Absolutely. And maybe what would be easier is Taylor, what's success to you?
Success to me, I actually have it written down. It's just like speaking and inspiring people to do something bigger and more than what they're currently doing right now. But also that same thing is travel to me is success, and continued learning to me is success, and having a community of growth oriented people around me that I spend most of my time with is success, and really just truly impacting as many people's lives as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Brendan, what about you? What did you
Guys,
take away? And then, yeah.
if I'm long-winded on my answers, I apologize.
No. I like them. Brendan, if you have any questions or what success is to you, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, so I guess a couple of things. So I think the true success, I think there's no like finish line, to your point of like, you run one race and then you're like, all right, what's the longer one to go after next? So that was kind of like my journey this year is like, all right, I got one certification, what's the next one? So it's just there's no set journey line, which I think is pretty cool. And then, just this, shift in focus with your schedule. Like I try to go to bed early and whatnot. And yeah, I think it's just like we don't realize just kind of like the mediocrity across the board that we see with like the rest of the world of, folks that, you work in like an office all day, you never get to see the sun and like just get out in nature again. You don't have to go on a long trail run, but again, the body's not meant to like drive to work in the dark, stay inside an office all day, and then drive home in the dark. Like you need to get out in the sun and, do that. And then, you got folks that sleep in late and, just get fucked up on the weekends and all that stuff. And there's no like personal development. You just kind of just waste your life away, even if you're not even doing like super hardcore drugs or anything like that. It's just, you just don't know like the mediocrity that you're kind of putting yourself through. So I think it was just like a shift in focus. And I wasn't even like an alcoholic or anything. I actually was doing like 75 hard. And then I also have like a weird allergic reaction to alcohol now. So I have to like get tested for it, or else like I literally, my throat closes up if I drink. So like super annoying. So like I didn't have like a, extreme story or anything like that. So we got to like preference that. But I think, just doing what you like to do. I mean, I do, I work in an office job and I help other veterans in that school. But, my favorite memory, we were talking about memories from last year, and it was like, volunteered for like hurricane cleanup stuff. And like my favorite memory was like sleeping on a cot, in this random city that just got destroyed from the hurricane. And we were, moving hundreds of pounds of molded drywall, all day and all night. And, just like being on the cot, being like, all right, like I did something today. And like that filled my cup. And that hasn't happened in a very long time. And people are, again, just on their phone all day and just, they don't realize, unfortunately, that their life is just kind of like just being wasted. So that was just kind of like a big like reflection piece from the year. It's like your point of like just having a schedule and just getting after it and maximizing your time. So
Absolutely. And I think that kind of comes down to like what you mentioned is you doing something that is we always get into this consistent habit and we love being consistent. But like the truth is you have to have spontaneity in your life. You have to have a place of service where you're giving to others and you're helping others because otherwise we're never going to have that true experience we want and it doesn't allow us to put ourselves in that situation. Yes, we can rationalize that if I help this person get a job, that's very good and that makes me feel good. But it's more like I just want the commission check for like you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's you, but I'm just saying in general, it just becomes very challenging dynamic where it's like, how do we really give to people and how do we really feel it? And it's like if I were you, like if I was giving you a piece of it, I would find another way to volunteer. Like I would find a volunteer weekend and like sign up for something because like if that's what really gave you the most joy, like figure out a way to do it again. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely good point. I got one of my goals for the year too is 100 hours of community service, and we went to an animal shelter and stuff too. And if you've never been to one of those, man, that's like
Tough.
sad. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And then what would success be to you, Brendan?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, there is no finish line. Like I said, like I got one of the certifications that's like kind of hard within the IT world, and that was kind of a benchmark. Then I'm like, all right, like what's the next one? What's the next one? So again, it's just like you just can't I can't sit still. So that's kind of like a blessing and curse. But again, it's just like keep on challenging yourself, not being in quite the same routine and living the same boring life. So again, just
Yeah,
spending the time as intentionally as possible, whether like you're working hard or spending it with the people that you want to spend it with the most, because the circle gets smaller as you get older, is what I realize, and just trying to be intentional as possible with anything you do. So
absolutely. And progress equals happiness. So that's why you make the progress and you feel more happy. Dylan, what about you? What are you taking from this? Any questions? If you want to share what your success
Yeah.
is, what taking?
No, just cool takeaways all around. Definitely looking forward to watching the documentary and following the story more. Kind of like this is more of a share than a question, but there's a kid from my home. I have a small hometown, east end of Long Island, and one of the guys like athletic, like lifeguard, did triathlons, all that stuff, and he OD'd from fentanyl like 7 years ago. He was probably like 25 at the time. So a group of some of the like lifeguards and athletes that he hung out with, they started this foundation called Dog Patch Bandits, and basically they're like all ultra athletes, and they'll do like fundraisers where they'll like they biked across the U.S. They'll do like these point to point challenges, like they've done like Long Island. They've I think ran it, all these different things, and raise money through those events, and then build like workout stations around
Oh, that's
rehab
awesome.
centers and yeah, so they'll put the money back in to build the outdoor exercise stations and like try to it's like you kind of chase highs. You chase the dopamine and serotonin release, and you could get that through, a great workout. One of those accomplishments, better than a high from drugs or alcohol. But a lot of people don't really, recognize that. So I found that like your whole story resonates so well with that. Makes me
Absolutely.
want to step up my donation or fundraising for them.
I mean, a donation could be introducing Sean to them.
Yeah,
You know,
no, definitely share the page. It's cool. Like they've like had guys go overseas and like in a couple of days like biked all across England. Like they'll do these point to point challenges, and they've biked across the U.S. in under a month, like doing
oh
like
wow.
115 miles a day for 30 days straight. And I'm like, you know what? Like one of them, like a kid fell like 3 days into the ride and got like fucked up and still did the rest of the ride. And I'm like, all right, that's insane. Like I'm donating. But yes, they just built a lot of those workout stations at rehab centers, at like like under privileged like high schools or like inner city areas where it's like, hey, like work out and, get a release from this, and, change one or two people's lives with that, and has a big ripple effect, which obviously you've done, to the utmost as an individual. So it's definitely cool to see that overlap.
Thank you, Will.
Absolutely.
Dog, you said Dog Patch Bandits?
Yeah, I'll share with you on Instagram. They have a cool page.
Please, yeah, I'll give them a follow.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
And then Dylan, what's your version of success? What's success to you?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you asked the other questions. I think it might have been a book you recommended. It was like High Performance Habits that I read like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, I think I read it during quarantine, and it said like to create a reminder in your phone of like 3 words that you want to live by each and every day. And like I still have this reminder. It like pops on my phone every day at 10 a.m. And it's alive, grateful, and hungry. And it's like kind of just going through each day, like being very alive and present and thoroughly enjoying the life that I'm currently living that day, while appreciating and being grateful, for where I'm at and the achievements, but never losing, a hunger of like curiosity and growth and progress. Like I think you said before, like progress is happiness. Like that's, if I'm not moving forward, I'm moving backwards entirely. So kind of like living each day through that, whether it be, personally or through my family, it's like really enjoying being there and living it, but trying to, build and progress and kind of each day, I guess. And if, you continue to do that, I guess success is a moving bar with that.
Absolutely. It's inevitable. Last one, Chase. What are you taking away from this? What is your version of success? And then we'll hop into the final part of this call.
Yeah, looking forward to watching the documentary. Probably gonna watch that here with my wife after this. Yeah, I think I just super admirable as far as, I mean, not only did you just stop using the drugs, I mean, you just became like a total beast after too. So something that people that have never I mean, realistically, I probably won't even ever do a 100-mile race, something like that. And, I've never been addicted to a drug like that. So that, amazing story, one of a kind. And I guess, my version of success, yeah, I just think I don't know, I can probably feel it a lot better than I can explain it, but,
The reason,
just,
yeah, the reason for explaining it is just so that you have a definition and a North Star, right? So it's basically the same thing that Sean said, what's your Super Bowl? If you don't have a direction, then we're just aimlessly going in places. Like, is success having the business, having it run without you? Like, you know what I mean? Is success having the deep relationships? Is success? And these are all questions everyone can ask themselves, because you start to realize, like, wait, dude, if I'm going nowhere, like, what am I doing? Like, you know what I mean? And it's so easy to stagnate in this life. So it's like, what is success and what do you really want to achieve? And most of the time we only put financial remarks around it, but we don't give ourselves the real feeling of like what it is in regard to like, how do I want to feel each day? You know what I mean? What do I want to be? So, Chase, you could describe a feeling. Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't, yeah, financial freedom's cool and all that. I just think it's, when you're being true to yourself and you're accomplishing those goals you want to, um, having a great routine, that's what success sounds like. Inspiring those around you. So,
I love that.
um,
I love that. That's awesome. So let's hop into the final part. So this is going to be the greatest benefit of our conversation, action, step, and gratitude. So I had a coach one time, and he said whenever you have a deep conversation, you want to ask people their greatest benefit. Reason being, I might sit there and go, Brendan might have thought this, or Rob might have thought that, but like, I don't really know. I got to hear what they got to, let's hear it from their mouth first. So, Dylan, for you, what was your greatest benefit of this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, just Sean, having you on and your story, and, being able to resonate in some ways, and, have a high level of respect for you in some of the more extreme ways and things I haven't experienced. But, I've had people around me in different ways. Like it's, no, everyone has, unique aspects of their life, but no one's lived, like there's a lot of repetition in different areas. And like, I think your story is very just like microcosmic and representative of like, you control how you live your life. It's like, sometimes you might feel like you don't, but as you said, hitting rock bottom, it's a pretty good launch pad. So, all the respect to you. It's been cool just hearing it.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Griffin, what about you? What's your greatest benefit of today?
Yeah, I would say overall, Sean, just being able to hear your story and overall just to kind of engage with you. I mean, this was quite a story, and I'm very much looking forward to watching the movie. And I'll say just the overall conversation that we had and kind of getting to hear everything. It's definitely very inspiring, and there's some parts that I kind of related to myself. And yeah, it was a very good one.
Absolutely. Jacoby, what about you?
I'd have to say, like, I feel like I'm being kind of generic, but yeah, this conversation is definitely like the purpose of the conversation is to get benefit out of it. And just listening to everyone's stories, it's it's inspiring, I guess. Like, because I'm really in a mood where like my mindset is the most important thing, and I feel like I needed to hear I just needed to hear it, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Rob, what about you?
Yeah, I think just knowing that, it's great to hear the story, of course. And if somebody hits rock bottom, especially like you, Sean, like just coming back 100 times harder, taking something to the extreme, like going from where you were at to 100 miles, like that's it's as crazy as it gets. So, I guess for me, assuming I haven't hit, the hardest challenge to overcome in my life yet, one day I will. And, just knowing that it's possible to just beat that 10 times over. It's cool.
Absolutely.
Thank
Brendan, what about you?
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, definitely the general tips and stuff for running. Definitely gonna put those into effect, and of course, insight on your schedule and waking up super early. I definitely gotta tune my schedule up, and it's almost your bedtime here, shortly. So definitely appreciate you staying up, watch the ball drop here at midnight with us. But I also like the fact too that you're beating other people on something that you just started. It's kind of like a big fu to the rest of the people that have been doing that your entire lives. I think that's like pretty cool as well. So, definitely appreciate all the tips, and definitely gonna have to get my running schedule, back in check as well. And of course, appreciate the rest of y'all being, open and vulnerable, sharing your stories and whatnot, and Jordan for having me on here. This is my first time here. So thank y'all.
Absolutely. Chase, what about you?
I'll switch it up, man. The trail run, I didn't know there was the difference between the trail run groups and the road run groups. Um, I don't run consistently. When I do, I usually go to like a soccer field though, run around the field and with my shoes off. So that's how I like to do it. So I'm gonna look into that trail running and the group aspect as well. So appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. And then for myself, Sean, I would say it's raising our standards. Like, you know what I mean? We sit here and go, can I run 2 miles today? And it's like, Sean's out here running 20 today. I should probably get ready for this. And it's not even, I want to, it's even bigger than that. It's not just about running, but it's about that idea of like, we can always get better and we can always progress, which I think is so important in any aspect of our life. And like, Brendan, you brought up a really good point of that Sean kind of got in and then he did really well. What are you guys in that you can do really well in? You know what I mean? You guys might be a super athlete or a super swimmer or a super whatever, but you guys might have not tried that yet. So that's, I think, a really big opening. And I think that that kind of inspires me to try more new things. So I appreciate that. And then Sean, for you, what's your greatest benefit of today? What was your biggest takeaway?
Um, just being able to get it in front of a different group of men than what I mean that I usually do, the different types of communities. The one thing about my story is, like Dylan said earlier, we all have a unique life experience. I've been through things y'all haven't been through, but each one of you guys have been through things I haven't been through. And so, at the end of the day, the one thing I've noticed is me being vulnerable and opening up allows other people to do the same. And what I figured out is we're all recovering from something. We've all been through stuff. And so, my greatest benefit is getting on here, being able to talk with you guys and understand that, there is some similarities in our stories, even though they're very different. We all have that. We all have this ability to be able to use that experience to help other people.
I love that. I love that. The vulnerabilities is so true because we all want to be so stoic, and it's like, nah, man, we're all broken. We're all struggling and we're all doing our thing. So the next part is the action step. So this is one action you will take. It can be from learning this call, it could be from anything that you want to apply this week to make yourself have a better week. So Dylan, for you, what's your action step?
All right, so this is a partial action step from weeks ago. And it's time to finish it. So I found that triathlon in mid-March and then the one in mid-April that I'm gonna do, and I have them on the calendar. Haven't actually paid for them, so I'll do that tonight. Because my mindset, like yours too, it's like I've done the triathlon just shorter distances. It's like if you could run 1 mile, you could run 10. If you could get the swimming done, like you could finish the bike and the run. So even though I got a lot of travel and work stuff in the next like month and a half, but I'm gonna book those triathlons tonight because once they're on that schedule, like you say, Jordan, you just figure out a way to just fucking get them done. So that's it.
Yeah, you'll start going out with coworkers and then wake up and you'll be like, they're all like
No,
sleeping
the
until
coworkers,
8.
I'll start skipping hanging out with the coworkers. I got a workout to do.
Yeah, I love it. Sean, what about you? What's your action step for this week? How are you gonna be better?
Action. Oh, I didn't know you. I thought you were gonna wait for me to the end. I wasn't
Well,
prepared.
we can go to the end. We can go to the end. Brendan, what about you? What's your action step?
Yeah, well, definitely to Sean's advice, definitely gonna join a run club. So I already know one of my friends that she does one, so I'm gonna reach out to her and see how I can get involved. I think they run actually on Tuesdays, so definitely a good
Perfect
time for
timing.
us.
Perfect timing. Love it. Griff, what about you?
Yeah, to build off of that, I was actually gonna be one of mine is the run club this week, and I've been off of it for 2 weeks, so I got to go to it.
Love it.
In
Love it.
St.
Jacoby, what
Petersburg.
about wait, where you're Griff's in St. Pete. Wait,
Yeah, I
are
was
you
gonna
and Brendan
say.
going to the same Brendan is yours in St.
Yeah,
Pete or
wait, Brendan,
Tampa?
where are you at?
He's in Tampa.
So my office, I'm by like West Shore Mall, but I live in Sefner. But I was thinking of the I think it's Off Balance Run Club. I always see
Yeah,
people
I've seen
posting
that
about.
Oh,
one.
that one's very active. I've
That
seen
one's
that
very,
one.
very active. I would go there if I were you. That's just too far of a drive for me. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
There's one right next to me. But if you ever want to go to St. Pete, you can meet me there.
Oh yeah.
I
I'll
love
run
it.
there.
Jacoby, what about you? What's your action step?
My action step is to get a job. That's really all it is right now. I need employment, unfortunately, but
I love it. That's cool. Rob, what about you?
For me, well, I'd say it goes back to what Sean mentioned, the importance of nutrition. I think, I'm pretty good with staying active. I don't really have to, try too hard to just keep that in my rotation. But I think the dialing in the diet and, being clean 100% of the time for, at least an extended period of time. I still don't know what that'll look like on me. So I feel like I owe it to myself to do that before I turn 30, just see what it really can get to.
Absolutely. And just, I'm not saying I'm a super expert on the diet thing, but what I figured out is like, if you can swap out meals, because you always have the same snacks, the same lunch, the same breakfast. This is just most people in general. You have a pretty similar dinner. If you can choose that same option, like if you have at your house, like you have cereal every morning, if you just sub that out for eggs, your whole life will change in 1 week. Like literally, that's how simple it comes down to. Like it's getting the foods and then it's prepping them. That's what I figured out because I think that's always super helpful. But yes, the nutrition can be a very challenging dynamic. Chase, what
Agreed.
about you? What's your action step?
I'm gonna keep training Cam this week. I'll have a lot more time to kind of push some more sales, potentially knock on some doors. But I got some ideas for some bigger jobs I'm gonna pitch to people. So
Oh, hell yeah.
try to do some like meetup with them one on one. Kind of put that in-person pressure on them. So in a good way though. Nothing unnecessary. So
Chase, I love your new job. Let's go, baby. That's a
yeah.
big promotion. Give yourself a little promo. Now you're the sales guy. You're not the one doing the ops. It's a huge move. Major difference. Sean, what about you? What's your action step?
Um, I need to more focus on healthy balance. I need to spend some quality time with my wife and my dog. We're getting another dog at the end of the week, and so I know I got to be able to fill my cup before I can fill other people's. And so, really, just making sure I'm taking care of my personal life, just so my business life can, do even better.
Absolutely. I love that. And then let's hop into the final part. I like to close every meeting with gratitude because I think gratitude is one of the biggest things. And everyone's like, oh, it's just for Thanksgiving. But when you have gratitude, you can't be angry. And I think that makes a huge difference. So you can be grateful for anything and everything. Dylan, what are you grateful for?
Yeah, kind of grateful for this trip I have coming up. It's kind of been a tradition of my brother and I to get together. We don't live in the same state anymore, so try to travel here and there. And this trip we're going to Costa Rica. I got two of my best friends going as well, so it's fun having like the friend and brother crossover, and looking forward to enjoying that.
I love it. Yeah, when you get the boys going, it's always better. Brendan, what about you?
Yeah, I would say honestly, just coming here tonight, just kind of breaking the cycle of just just typical shitty Mondays and just like back on the work grind and all that. But now it's like, all right, like it's a good productive meeting, just kind of stepping out of your normal zone and whatnot, and just learning some stuff. And of course, all like the action steps that I've gotten from this, it's like going to set me up for a better week, and then of course, better year. And I just turned 29 last week too, so finished off my 20s on the strong route. So, dude, super, grateful for being invited here and again everything that kind of went on today. So
Absolutely. I love that. Rob, what about you?
I guess keep it simple. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm healthy enough to be able to walk and, run, do all these things we're talking about. Some people can't, and something that's a big part of my life too. So grateful for that.
I love it. Jacoby.
Mine honestly would just have to say keeping my fire lit. Because that's like the main thing that I focus on when I don't have like goals, I guess, right now. And seeing some goals go up and not be completed, it's kind of hard on the psyche, but keeping that fire lit is like the main thing for me.
Absolutely. And just a little tidbit, the more you measure and monitor things, like in all aspects, like if you measure and monitor your finances, you might see those go up. If you measure and monitor your weight, you might see those go up. But the more stuff you measure and monitor, the more wins you're going to have. So like Jacoby, you hopping on being like, yo, I'm down 40, massive. Like that is a huge win. You know what I mean? So even if the other areas you might not be hitting the goals, that's still a great push. And that's always been something to help me because you gotta find the wins and everything.
Yeah, honestly, I get you.
Chase, what about you?
I'm grateful for all you guys. This was a really good Monday group meeting. So I just, good questions. Everybody was opening up and stuff. So appreciate all you boys.
Absolutely. Griff, what about you? Griffin.
Grateful for this coffee machine that I just got called the Breville. It's the sickest thing I've ever used in my life. I've never had coffee so good, and I'm never gonna go to a public place and waste money ever again. So it was a life-changing purchase I got. So just throwing that out there. I've never seen machinery like this.
You got an ambassador code?
That was the right there.
No, I'll show you guys it real quick.
Dude, Griff, just drop the referral link in here, man.
Wait, I'm gonna turn this around.
Drop the mic. I can't follow that.
Look at that thing. Wait, can you see the screen?
I can see it. I can see it, dude. It's huge.
How much?
Freaking insane, man.
How much?
It was a pretty penny. It was like $8.50.
You'll get that back though after like
a year of coffees.
Oh yeah, boys. I'll tell you one thing. It's $1,000. I got $8.50 off of a gift card, coupon code.
Yo, were you rolling your eyes the whole time I was talking about how material things don't mean anything?
That's it.
Yes, sir. No, 100%. No, Shawn, I was not, because hear me out. I have this Keurig that I've used for forever, and this thing is like $35, and just like the coffee taste is actually insane, and making like an espresso, and I've never had the luxury of making all that. So there's a certain change to it, but I know I'll 100% agree with what you're saying, because as someone that lived in Miami, I mostly left because I realized I'm not as materialistic as I thought I initially might be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Miami was too materialistic for me, so I was not rolling my eyes that much.
That much.
You got to make sure you tell that thing thank you when you when it makes you coffee, because it looks like it transform and take you out or something. You got to watch out for it,
dude. I feel like you got to throw down a referral code just to try to get some money back on it.
Yeah,
that's great, Griffin. I appreciate that. That was awesome. No, I really, really did appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
No, that's awesome, dude. Whatever gets people going. Shawn, how are you gonna follow up the Keurig? Oh, sorry, not the Keurig.
Not a Keurig.
What is it? The Broville. The
Broville.
Broville.
Uh,
Did I get that wrong?
Breville.
Breville. Got you. Sean.
I think dude, I have gratitude for opportunities like this, networking. Networking, dude, is one of the biggest things that I do. I just got linked up. I don't know how somebody like me, I just got linked up with Austin Marathon. I just got linked up with South by Southwest. I don't know how somebody like me ever does something like that, but if it wasn't for networking and just being able to talk with other individuals, man, I wouldn't be anywhere.
Absolutely. And where can people find you? Like where do you want them to find you to kind of talk to you if they want to reach out with any additional questions or just
Uh,
follow the gram?
Instagram is my primary source of communication. If anyone wants to hit me up, if anybody wants to like talk further, they can absolutely grab my number, hop on a call or text, whatever like that. But I am Redemption on Instagram, or I am Shawn Livingston, SHAWN. Feel free to reach out anytime if you ever need anything.
Absolutely.